a senator, always a senator, distinguished Senator Lee Maiba, welcome to Rivers State House of Assembly. You have the state chairman of the largest political party in Black Africa. You have His Excellency Ambassador Desmond Akawo. Chairman, sir, welcome to Rivers State House of Assembly. Your Excellency, today is a special day. We acknowledge the fact that your budgeting process is one that is transparent and precise. Earlier this morning, in chamber, during plenary, as we took the early part of it, we approved the revised medium-term expenditure framework for 2022 to 2024. We acknowledge that Section 121 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, empowers the governor to present the annual estimate before the legislature for the coming financial year of the state, and that is why you are here. Relying on that Section 121 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, with all sense of dedication and humility, I hereby invite you to present your budget speech before the members of Rivers State House of Assembly.
Distinguished members of the Senate chambers, distinguished senators, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by giving thanks to Almighty God for this wonderful opportunity to serve our people and our state at this period of its history. For the completion of the current fiscal year and the development projects we have delivered, and for the continuing progress of our state under our watch. Mr. Speaker, we wish to also thank you and the entire members of the Rivers State House of Assembly for the cooperation and support the House has continued to give to the executive arm of government, and especially for the outgoing fiscal year. Together, we have weathered the political storms and fought the social and economic battles for the development of our state with stately determination, and triumphed over our detractors and challenges in many respects. We also extend our appreciation to the good people of Rivers State who gave us the opportunity to serve them in the first place, and for their cooperation and understanding and prayers for the past 6.5 years of our government. We are truly humbled by the overwhelming support and solidarity that we have received up to this moment, and your continuous confidence in our resolve to develop our state and improve the living conditions of everyone. But beyond this, we are still conscious of your yearnings and demand on us to accomplish our vision for a new and better River State. I can assure that our resolve to deliver more to meet your aspirations remains unmatched, and will continue to do our best for the state to the very last day of our administration. 6.5 years ago, we took over the mantle of leadership from the All Progressive Congress-led government following our victory at the 2015 general elections and the affirmation of that victory by the Supreme Court. In the same year, 2015, the federal government changed hands from our party, the People's Democratic Party, to the hurriedly formed, ambitionless APC, and Nigeria has been worse for this avoidable mistake. Since they took over the federal government, our economy has progressively declined to the worst conditions ever, and the last 6 years have been most challenging years for our country since after the Civil War. Under their watch, we experienced 2 economic recessions in quick successions, with devastating economic consequences on the states and living standards of the people, especially ordinary Nigerians and the teeming unemployed population. While the negative impact of the COVID-19 on the global and national economy also contributed to the nation's economic woes, our situation was made worse by the failure of the federal government to meet the security challenges they copiously promised to terminate, which have now escalated multidimensionally to virtually all regions of the country. They promised to tackle the insurgency, pervasive corruption, and fix the economy, and failed woefully in all 3 promises, to the indignation of Nigerians. I'm sure this mistake will not be repeated by Nigerians in 2023. As a subnational entity, Rivers State was severely affected by these externally induced economic challenges, as both federally distributed and internally generated revenues declined quite significantly. But from day one, we took our economic and development destinies in our own hands by taking appropriate steps to re-engineer and limit the shocks from wrecking our domestic economy beyond immediate remediation and regeneration. We have succeeded quite significantly in this endeavor, and now our economy, relative to most other states, has been doing very well by posting really tangible growth figures in excess of 5% year in, year out, especially for the last 2 years. Indeed, our level of economic growth and fiscal stability is not just widely acknowledged both locally and internationally. We have repeatedly been adjudged by independent oversight agencies as the most fiscally disciplined and viable state in Nigeria, with an enduring capacity to fund our capital and the current expenditures without damaging deficits. Excuse me. Along the process, we have also done a lot to deliver on our mandate to the state and our people on a range of government policies, programs, and projects in quantum, quality, and impact. Propelled by a sense of urgency, we are achieving some kind of a revolution in the provision of fiscal infrastructure, especially roads, bridges, and flyovers, which continue to advance in leaps and bounds every other year. We have also delivered significantly on education, healthcare, the administration of justice, security, and rural transformation, such that there has never before been a profound sense of optimism and the greatness of this beloved state of ours as now. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, development is a continuous process, and we are here once again to assess the progress we made in the outgoing fiscal year, define our vision for the next 12 months, reaffirm our commitment to achieve more developments for our state, and improve the quality of the lives of our people with our 2022 budgetary proposals, which we shall shortly place before you for your kind consideration and approval. Review of 2021 budget performance. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in 2021, the approved total budget size of the state was 448,660,000,000 773,476 naira only. Out of this amount, approved recurrent expenditure was 142,776,481,415 naira only, while capital expenditure was 305,894,284,061 naira only. As at the end of October 2021, total net revenue receipts was 391,325,270,206 naira only, which represents over 87% overall performance on the revenue side. Relatively, all revenue items, including statutory allocation, oil mineral fund, value-added tax, refunds, excess crude, exchange gain, and foreign speculation from the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee, FAC, as well as the internal generated revenue, recorded much improved performance in 2021 as against fiscal year 2020. We committed ourselves to utilizing the 2020 budget to deliver on economic progress, agriculture, fiscal infrastructure, including roads and bridges, healthcare, education, and public security, among others. In 2021, we promised to complete the Rivers Cassava Processing Plant to stimulate greater investments in cassava cultivation, and we did just that. The multi-billion naira plant was completed and commissioned. In 2021, we committed to refurbishing as many primary and basic education schools across the state. We did, as several of our basic education schools have been refurbished and equipped by the Rivers State Universal Basic Education Board. In 2021, we promised to continue with the reconstruction of several secondary schools, which is also a promise kept. Government Secondary School, Ugu, Community Secondary School, Obiabo, and Community Secondary School, Eto, have been completed, furnished, and commissioned, while Obama High School, Bakana, and Community Secondary School, Omawa, and Tumbia will be commissioned in January 2022. Reconstruction work have reached advanced stages of completion on all other secondary schools, including Community Secondary School, Kubo, Calabar National College, Buguba, Boni National Grammar School, Boni, Government Secondary School, Abua, Government Comprehensive Secondary School, Borokiri, and Eternal High School, Port Harcourt, Vocational Class Center, Bonima, and Marywood Girls High School, Buguma. It is also to our credit that in 2021, we completed and commissioned the male hostel facility of the Hybrid Remedial Academy, and also started the construction of the female hostel block, which is also completed and ready for commission. In 2021, we also fulfilled our promise to decentralize the Rivers State University with the establishment of 3 new campuses at Ahoda East, Emowa, and the Che local government areas. Construction work is progressing simultaneously in all the 3 campuses with the release of 9 billion naira to the Rivers State University management. In 2021, we further accomplished our promise to start the construction of additional faculty buildings for the College of Medical Sciences, and construction work on these projects are going on at the very start with the release of 7 billion naira. In 2021, we successfully established the Rivers State University Teaching Hospital, upgraded to its facilities to international standards, and ensured its accreditation for the practical teaching and research of the students of the University's Medical College and affiliate institutes. In 2021, we committed to completing the Mother and Child Hospital and ensured this was accomplished. We also took the 5 zonal referral hospitals at Ahoda, Bori, Degema, Okey, and Amok to finishing levels. In 2021, we initiated the 26 billion naira Dr. Peter Dele Cancer and Cardiovascular Disease Diagnostic and Treatment Center with 70% down payment to Julius Berger Limited. As we speak, work is progressing very well on the construction of this highly specialized and sophisticated hospital. In 2021, we also continued with a revolution on the delivery of fiscal infrastructure, including roads, bridges, flyovers, urban renewal, and rural development at a pace, scope, and quality never before experienced in the state's history. We have since delivered Okoronodo, Rebisi, and Rumowa flyovers. We have completed Rumola and Jerry flyovers to be commissioned next week, taking Oroworko, Abali, Ikoku, and Rumepigo flyovers to over 80% completion levels, while work will soon start at the Elimbu Rumokroshi, which is the 10th flyover. We committed to the infrastructural renewal and restoration of the entire OGRA, Amadi Flats, and substantial parts of the new government reservation areas of Port Harcourt. We have also achieved this promise by reconstructing over 30 streets and roads with street lights, pedestrian walkways, and concrete-covered drains in these high-profile residential and mixed residential and commercial areas in Obiabo and Port Harcourt local government areas. We dualize Olumide Street, Forces Avenue, Tombia Road, and Birabi Road, and also started the dualization of a Zimbu to Ken Sarawowa Road, Tombia Extension to Ikore Road, Ogunabadi Road, and Eastern Bypass Road, where the headquarters of the Niger Delta Development Commission is located. Outside the state capital, we delivered Bori Sabuwa Road, the axis of the Ogwene Andeno Popo Road, Rumuji Eba Obele Isobo Road, Mbiama Okaki Road, Obeti Road, Odufo Aboku Umoye Road, Orabuladele Road, among others. Continued with the construction of Ebema Omoko Road, Akpabo Omodioga, Ebeda Road, Rumudugu 1 and 2 Road, Omoko, Alibu, Keregene, Odububuru Road, Okomoko, Okehi, Opoko Road, Mboswine, Mbo Road, the Ogu, Ekboro, Bogo, Wakamaru Link Road, as well as started phase 1 of the Transcalabari Road and phase 1 of the Ahoda Omok Road. We completed and delivered internal roads to more communities, including Bodo, Isobo, Odoku, and also started those for Okochiri phase 2 and Domerelu communities in furtherance of our blueprint on rural development. We further delivered on the land reclamation and sand filling projects at Abalama and Obunabali, while those for Abonema, Obonoma, Okrika, and Kula communities received appreciable funding in 2021. Finally, we also delivered residential quarters for the judges of National Industrial Court and also continued with the completion of the long-abandoned former Reed Bank Insurance Building in Port Harcourt, which is ready for commission. The records also show that the current budget for 2021 was fully implemented as workers and salaries and wages are paid when due, and ministries, departments, and agencies have been receiving their overheads up to date. In all, the implementation of the 2021 budget is very impressive with over 80% performance. Of course, we may not have accomplished all that we set out to achieve, but no fair-minded person would deny the monumental achievements we recorded in virtually all sectors that we focus on, and we can all say with confidence that the progress of Rivers State under our watch is real, tremendous, far-reaching, and clearly verifiable. We therefore, going into 2022 on the back of our 2021 impressive performance record of several commitments that we in the process of fulfilling. The economic outlook for Rivers State for 2022. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Nigeria's economy is still very weak and recovery is still very slow. Although the price of crude oil, which is the mainstay of the national economy, has experienced a rebound, the indication is that it will stabilize at a relatively lower level for a prolonged period of time. It is important to also bear in mind that the global economic crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic is also not over. As a matter of fact, while global economic recovery has been slow, the recent discovery of new variants of the coronavirus is casting a rather gloomy shadow on further economic growth. The economic outcome of these challenges can therefore be bad, but the bad news for an oil-dependent economy such as ours, which is also inextricably dependent on the performance of the national economy. But there's some good news to our own economic situation. Within Nigeria, our economy is not only stronger than 90% of the other states, it has continued to perform better than most others in terms of real economic growth, fiscal consolidation, debt to gross domestic product ratio, and internal revenue generation. The favorable assessment of the state of economic and fiscal discipline by rating agencies has further boosted confidence in the health of the economy, which would translate into substantial private sector investment and economic growth. We are therefore hopeful, although cautiously, the economy of Rivers State will remain on a positive trajectory throughout the 2022 fiscal year, provided there are no further failures and headwinds from the challenges with the national economy, and with crude oil prices remaining progressively stable, around $80 per barrel, and the exchange rate also remaining reasonably stable. On our part, we'll continue to manage the economy in the most responsible manner, increase public sector spending to stimulate growth, take appropriate measures to generate more revenue from within on the back of good governance and effective leadership. Fiscal measures. In 2021, we introduced a number of fiscal measures to stimulate economic growth and development. We also introduced a number of tax reforms as part of our fiscal consolidation program. Specifically, we have successfully managed a balanced budget and kept a very low or insignificant public debt profile. We have also kept overhead expenditure at a reasonable steady ceiling except for wages, salaries, and pension, which recently increased due to the new national minimum wage that was imposed on the states by the federal government without any consequential adjustments on the subsisting inequitable revenue sharing and allocation formula. Excuse me. In addition to bringing more persons into the tax net, we also strengthened the capacity of the Rivers State Internal Revenue Service in the areas of tax audit collection, which resulted in measurable improvements in our internally generated revenue for fiscal year 2021, even without introducing new taxes. For instance, internally generated revenue for 2021 is currently 15% more than that of 2020. Although we also experienced some increase in statutory allocation, it was obvious that our main impetus for sustainable economic growth is gradually emerging from the improvements we have recorded from internal revenue generation. 6 years ago, internally generated revenue constituted less than 10% of our total budget size. Today, the story has changed for the better, as we have achieved more than the 30% mark we set for ourselves at the beginning of our administration, thereby reducing our over-reliance on statutory budgets to fund our development plans. This also means that statutory allocation still forms the bulk of our development revenue, which boils down to the fact that we will continue to tie our rate development to statutory allocation, which, as you all know, is quite volatile. We therefore need to identify new economic areas and opportunities for further revenue generation for our state, while continuing with our fiscal consolidation program to boost economic growth and social development. This is one of the reasons we went to court to assert our authority to impose, collect, and retain value-added tax in our state for our own development purpose. We are hopeful of victory in respect of this matter and reiterate our call on the Supreme Court to expedite the trial and lay it to rest without delay. Meanwhile, in anticipation of our victory we will continue with our plan to integrate the VAT into our mainstream tax operation and strengthen the capacity of Rivers State Internal Revenue Services to effectively administer this head of tax when the responsibility comes. Policy thrust for the 2022 budget. The 2022 budget will also continue to focus on our quest for greater economic growth and fiscal consolidation, enhancing jobs and wealth creation, building first-rate economic infrastructure, and achieving equity and social protection through poverty reduction and economic inclusiveness. We'll continue with our efforts to diversify the economy through agriculture, promotion of tourism, attract investments into the service sectors, and encourage our youth to acquire relevant skills for the modern market, including ICT, innovation, and entrepreneurship. We'll complete all ongoing infrastructure projects to enhance the competitiveness of the economy and ensure that Rivers State is safe, secure, and profitable place to visit, live, work, do business, and raise our children. The 2022 budget is also expected to further strengthen our health sector such that citizens are healthy with immediate access to affordable, quality, primary, secondary, and tertiary health care services and support. The 2022 budget will also continue to support our drive to make Rivers State a knowledge powerhouse with highly educated people and skillful labor force to service both the domestic, national, and international labor market. Accordingly, the central theme for budget 2022 is christened Budget of Consolidation. The theme encapsulates our resolve to consolidate on our achievements to further accelerate the development of the state in a sustainable manner and uplift the living standards of as many citizens as possible. Funding the 2022 budget. The budget will be funded from the following available and viable sources: Federation Account and Allocation Committee, 13% Oil Mineral Fund, entirely generated revenue, value-added taxes, federal government's bridging facility and reforms, as well as commercial bank loans and grants from international development agencies. The key assumptions of the 2022 budget. The 2022 budget is crafted within the framework of the state's medium-term expenditure framework, the state economic strategy paper, the national economic outlook, and the state economic growth projections, coupled with the various development instruments and programs. Accordingly, the 2022 budget's key assumptions are crude oil benchmark of $50 per barrel, national crude oil production estimates of 1.7 million barrels per day, currency exchange rate of 410 Naira to the dollar, gross domestic product growth rate of between 3% for the medium term, and inflation rate of 13.5%. The 2022 total budget estimate. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, we are proposing a total budget size of 483 billion 173,307,096 Naira only for fiscal year 2022. The 2022 recurrent expenditure estimate. We are proposing a recurrent expenditure of 144 billion 764,818,977 Naira only, representing about 30% of the total budget size for 2022 fiscal year. The sectoral breakdown of the recurrent budget is as follows: salaries and wages, 77 billion 723,906,600 Naira. New recruitments, 1 billion Naira. Overhead costs for MDs, 13 billion 993,007,006 Naira. Grant contribution and subsidies, 6 billion 590 million Naira. Consolidated revenue fund charges, 391,050,772 Naira. Counterpart fund pension scheme, 2 billion naira. Death benefits, 1,108,949,228 naira. Monthly pensions, 15 billion naira. Gratuities, 2,056,193,114 naira. Harmonization fund, 500 million naira. Bank charges, 500 billion. Public debt servicing, 24 billion, 742 billion, 792 billion, 763,029 naira. We believe we will meet all our recurrent expenditures, including the regular payment of salaries and pensions, as well as overheads for MDAs to function effectively and deliver services to the people. And we shall, as much as possible, endeavor to run the government within the limits of this budget by avoiding whatever that could necessitate an increase in recurrent expenditure. Otherwise, we run the risk of deficit financing through increased borrowing, which would not be to our interest at this time. The capital expenditure estimates were projected the sum of 314 billion, 903 million, 180,116 naira as capital expenditure for fiscal year 2022. This amount, which is 47 billion naira higher than that of 2021, represents about 70% of the total budget size and aligns with our practice of prioritizing capital over the current expenditure, which policy we have sustained over the years to achieve our development goals. In 2022 capital expenditure, the 2022 capital expenditure is considered as follows. Administrative sector, 104 billion, 56 million, 165,447 naira. Economic sector, 127 billion, 46 million, 351,279 naira. Law and justice, 4 billion, 555 million, 718,793 million. Social sector, 79 billion, 85 million, 658,997 naira. Although this is yet another ambitious projection, given the challenges of national economy, we believe we'll be able to successfully implement the capital because it is backed by a concrete plan of action and within achievable limits. If you notice, over half of our capital budget is targeted at economic and social sectors, while the main items of scheduled capital spending in the 2022 budget are agriculture, roads, bridges, healthcare, education, social welfare, justice delivery, sports, youth and women empowerment, and human security, which will invariably lead to generating real economic growth, job creation, poverty reduction, and improvements in the living standards of citizens. In 2022, we will provide additional resources to improve the efficiency of judicial administration and public access to our legal system. The sum of 2.2 billion has accordingly been earmarked to fund the State Judicial's action plan for 2022, including the construction of the new magistrate court complex in Port Harcourt, the River State Judicial Institute, and the South-South zonal headquarters of the Federal Judicial Service Commission. Agriculture. The development of agriculture is important for several reasons. It remains the largest factor for achieving food security, wealth creation, and improved livelihood for citizens. For us in River State, farming and fishing are part and parcel of our identity and culture. Our people and communities lived of the land and the sea before the discovery of the oil and gas. Even now, most of our parents still survive from farming and fishing, although at subsistence levels, thereby making little or no contribution to the state's economy. Our farmers and fisher folks are aging, yet the young are not getting attracted to agriculture for lack of interest and knowledge of its potential. Yes, we inherited some agricultural assets, including hundreds of hectares of uncultivated lands, abandoned livestock infrastructure, fish farms, banana plantations, and the Songa initiative, but none was backed by reasonable policy, investment, and sustainability frameworks. Little wonder they all readily failed and piled to nothing as ill-conceived, fanciful ideas and programs. Today, one of the lessons of the global COVID-19 pandemic is that we toy with the development of agriculture at our own economic peril. Fortunately, our land is fertile, our aquatic resources are enormous, and with the current economic reality, there's no reason we should continue to neglect the transformative potential of agriculture to diversify and grow our economy, ensure food security, create jobs, and generate economic and wealth to enhance our collective well-being. We have therefore decided to make agriculture part of our engines for sustainable economic growth and development that supports our people to move beyond subsistence levels of production. However, our approach is to de-emphasize the direct participation of the state government in agriculture and encourage the private to take the lead. We will therefore reduce our stake in the Rivers Cassava Company to less than 10% so that private investments can come in and run the company to achieve the targeted social goals. We'll also conclude our plan to concession all government-owned agricultural lands and assets to viable private investors to acquire, revamp, and develop. Finally, we have provided the sum of 16,937,632,000 naira in the 2022 capital budget to revitalize, stimulate, and grow the agricultural sector in the state. Roads, bridges, and flyovers. As a developing state, we need well-developed road infrastructure to stimulate rapid economic growth and sustainable development. From inception, we have remained committed to the realization of this objective by providing good road networks to interlink all parts of the state. Over the last 6 years, we have therefore focused on building more arterial roads, bridges, and flyovers in the state, including rural roads, to enhance connectivity, access, and traffic flow. We have also carried major cleanups and renewal of road infrastructure in our urban centers and adjoining neighborhoods. Indeed, what we have delivered for the state to rehabilitate, construct, and reconstruct and upgrade road infrastructure is unprecedented and very transformative. However, there is still so much to do, given the existing gap, expensive nature of our terrain, and the phenomenal upsurge in the number of vehicles that now ply our roads. Consequently, Budget 2022 has allocated the sum of 90,363,766 naira 788 kobo 788 naira for the Ministry of Works in the capital expenditure for the road infrastructure subsector. The money will be used, one, to complete all ongoing road, bridge, and flyovers throughout the state and ensure regular repairs and maintenance of existing roads to guarantee their continued good condition and safety. Specifically, we shall complete the following roads, flyovers, and other projects in the 2023 fiscal year. The Abali flyover, from Kalabo, Oroworoko flyover, Mbodu, Oroworoko flyover, Urubapikon flyover, Elimbu, Rumokoshi flyover, dualization of Ogunabali Road, dualization of Eastern Bypass Road, dualization of Igbema Omoku Road, Transcalabari Road, phase 1, dualization of Ahoda Omoku Road, dualization of Bori Kono Road, dualization of Chokocho Kehi Bodo Road, Ogu Eporo Pogo Wakaba Road, Abamu Omudioga Igbeda Road, Rumodu 1 and 2 roads, Omoku Aligu Kregana Oduboboro Road, Mboshmini Mbodoha Road, Okochre Tana Road phase 2, Omarelu Community in Tana Roads, Ncha in Tana Roads, Igruta Community in Tana Roads, Abonema Obonomo Sanfilian Acclamation, Bakana Sanfilian Acclamation, Okreka Sanfilian Acclamation, the new government jetty at Marine Base Port Harcourt, Chokocho, Ibodo Road, Oyibo Okoloma Road, Roma Sara Yanaka Road, Ogubolo Road, etc. Ogubolo Sanfilian, etc. healthcare delivery. Mr. Speaker, since 2015, we have prioritized healthcare delivery in our budgetary considerations and made significant advances in the provision of healthcare infrastructure. We began by rehabilitating a number of general hospitals and primary healthcare centers across the state, and later moved on to upgrade the Breakthrough Memorial Hospital to a teaching and research hospital. We also established the College of Medical Sciences for the training of medical personnel, built the Mother and Child Hospital, and reconstructed and equipped the government house clinic with state-of-the-art diagnostic facilities. We have constructed the zonal referral hospital to the finishing levels and also advanced loans to private medical practitioners to upgrade their facilities to deliver services to the people. To consolidate and sustain our efforts at affordable access to quality healthcare delivery, we allocated the sum of 22.5 billion to the Ministry of Health to deliver on its mandate on quality healthcare services for citizens for the 2022 fiscal year. This sum is in addition to the substantial provision on recurrent spending. The sum provided will be spent on to complete all ongoing healthcare infrastructure projects, including the 5 zonal referral hospitals at Ahoda, Bori, Degeba, Okehi, and Lomok, the Dr. Peter Dede Cancer and Cardiovascular Disease Diagnostic and Treatment Center, the reconstruction and equipping of the Kelsey Harrison Hospital and the Dental Maxillofacial Hospital, Port Harcourt. We have also earmarked the sum of 2 billion naira to complete the construction of School of Nursing complex at Port Harcourt Township, which will function as the nursing department of the Rivers State University College of Medical Sciences to train nurses for the domestic, national, and international healthcare system. In addition, we will ensure improved provision of materials and supplies, including pharmaceutical services, as well as providing training to improve the capacity of our medical personnel to deliver better diagnostic, treatment, and rehabilitation services in all our health facilities. Finally, we will also continue to fight the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic by embarking on aggressive mass immunization and other mandatory measures. Education delivery. We remain committed to our commission to provide quality education at all levels of the state's education system. This commitment is premised on our behalf that quality education, and I believe that quality education remains the most powerful weapon any society can use to eliminate ignorance and banish poverty and become prosperous through productivity. This is why education has always received reasonable and responsible attention among the budgetary priorities in our yearly budgets. As you may have all noticed, we achieved measurable milestones on the provision of quality education in the outgoing fiscal year 2021. Specifically, we rehabilitated and equipped hundreds of primary and basic education schools across the state. We also reconstructed some secondary schools, while many others are also being reconstructed and upgraded to accommodate the expanding enrollments in our communities. We further improve access to tertiary as well as technical and vocational education in the state. We acknowledge that some of the secondary schools under reconstruction have taken too long to complete. We also acknowledge that there are lots more primary secondary schools to rehabilitate and equip. We acknowledge, but what we can assure you is that all contractors who have abandoned their project sites after receiving substantial payments will be made to either return to complete these projects or refund monies they have pocketed. While performance of our secondary school students in public examinations have improved tremendously, reflecting the quality of teaching and learning, there is still the need to further enhance outcomes and performance in English language, sciences, mathematics, engineering, and technology-related subjects in our basic education and senior secondary schools. Moving forward, our plan is to consolidate and improve on our achievements in the education sector in 2022. This is why we have allocated a sum of 29,964,500,000 naira as capital expenditure for the Ministry of Education to advance our objectives and achieve our action plan on quality education delivery. We will deploy this budget to further improve infrastructure in our schools, ensure that our schools are adequately resourced with teaching materials and improve the quality of teaching for subject teachers and school leaders in our school system. We shall complete and commission the 3 new campuses of the Rivers State University, the new faculty building for the Faculty of Basic Clinical Sciences, Faculty of Clinical Sciences, and the Department of Pathology of the College of Medical Sciences, also of the Rivers State University. In addition to the budgetary provision to their credit, all the tertiary institutions will receive infrastructure development grant from the state government. We'll also complete and hand over the Nabogram Douglas campus of Nigerian Law School in Port Harcourt, as well as the 900-bed hostels and 1,500 human capacity auditorium were graciously provided for the Yenegua campus of Nigerian Law School to the Council of Legal Education in May 2022 as part of our contributions to the national development. Youth empowerment. The future of Rivers State is in the hands of our youth. This is not just a fact, it is the reason we have continued to prioritize youth development in our policies and programs. And there is no better way to empower our youth than to expose them to quality education. This we are doing, and more youth than before are graduating out of tertiary institutions. Besides the opportunity for political and public service appointments, the littering of capital projects we are undertaking are providing both direct and indirect employment opportunities. Furthermore, beyond the construction and other employments that naturally result from the growth of our economy, will endeavor to fulfill our promise to recruit 5,000 youths in the civil service in 2022. This is not to say that there are enough jobs in our economy for our youth, as the statistics show that there are many more job seekers than available job opportunities, and the youth are the most frustrated under the prevailing economic hardship. We therefore acknowledge the need to create better and sustainable economic opportunities for our youth to explore and exploit with their skills, talents, and ideas, and secure a productive, profitable, and prosperous future for themselves and their families. We have therefore programmed Budget 2022 with several initiatives that frontally address the social and economic interests of the youth population, which include expansion of education opportunities and targeted emphasis on vocational training and acquisition of relevant skills set to enhance their employability. In addition, we have directed the Ministry of Youth Development to introduce special youth-focused programs and initiatives that advance them toward the path to productivity, entrepreneurship, and self-reliance. We have also mandated the Ministry of Employment Generation to initiate necessary platforms for job creation and provide ample financial and managerial capitals and mentorship for viable startups and youth-run businesses to achieve economic growth, employment, and wealth for our youth. The sum of 4 million naira and 202 million naira have been provided in the 2022 budget for the Ministry of Youth Development and its counterpart on employment generation to fund the various initiatives on youth-focused job creation and empowerment programs. We'll expect our youths to seize the unfolding opportunity in the 2022 budget to lift up themselves and be part of the positive story for the economic transformation of Rivers State. Women empowerment. The saying is true that to build a woman is to build a society. Women are the backbone of our families, and we have so much pride in their hard work, productivity, and commitment to the development of our state. Over the years, Women Affairs, while the Ministry of Social Welfare and Rehabilitation has been the vanguard for women's rights and the protection of our women and children against gender-based violence. The resolution of the structural and cultural issues affecting women's development will continue to receive the attention of government, just as we also owe it as a duty to address and tackle the disproportionate impact of poverty and inequality on women in our society. We have therefore repositioned the relevant ministries, including the Ministry of Women Affairs and the Ministry of Social Welfare, to focus and provide targeted strategic interventions to empower our women and enforce their rights to improve standards of living and dignity. Budget 2022, we have projected the sum of 3.4 billion for the Ministry of Women Affairs and 1.5 billion for the Ministry of Social Welfare and Heritage to implement their programs and projects on women development and empowerment. Sports development. In developing state like Rivers State with a youthful population, we cannot overstate the importance of sports development. Sports is not just a productive outlet for youthful energy, it presents an enormous opportunity for education, talent development, employment, and highly rewarding career paths. Over the years, we have prioritized sports and enhanced the development of sport infrastructure. We are doing well in football, and the exploits of our sportsmen and women in national and international meets have been a thing of pride to us. Our flagship football talent development project is the Real Madrid Football Academy we have established in Port Harcourt. With this academy, we are hopeful that Rivers State will soon become the powerhouse of football excellence in the country. It is just a matter of time. In 2022, we have provided some further investment in sports development, including the total rehabilitation and regrassing of the football field at the Adokia Mesmeka Stadium to that international football matches to attract international football back to Port Harcourt. The Real Madrid Academy would also start full training and academic activities in 2022 with the completion of the admission processes and provision of auxiliary facilities. For this and other sports development programs, Budget 2022 allocates the sum of 2,203,481,042 Naira to the Ministry of Sports as capital expenditure. Security of citizens. Mr. Speaker, one of our primary obligations is to provide reasonable levels of security for our citizens and visitors to the state. It is very important for the state's economic and social interests for all residents to feel safe and secure in their homes, in their workplaces, and at leisure venues. Relatively, Rivers State is one of the safest and secure states in our country. However, because the criminals in our midst are not willing to give up, we must also intensify our fights against these antisocial minority elements who are bent on a life of crime. Over the years, we have supported Rivers State Command of Nigerian Police and the Armed Forces and other security agencies with funds and logistics, including vehicles, armored personnel carriers, gunboats, communication gadgets, and bulletproof vests to fight crime throughout the state. In 2021, we revived and invested in the operationalization of the Rivers State Neighborhood Security Corps to strengthen intelligence guidance and security in our communities. However, I've given the directives that we have to cross-check what is going on in that safety corps. While these efforts may have resulted in improved security situation in the state, we will not lower our guards, but rather continue to do our best to curb crime and criminality and ensure that Rivers State remains safe, secure for citizens. Budget 2022 has therefore put aside a sum of 26,446,649,732 Naira for the effective funding of citizens' security. Honorable members, Rivers State is ours to build, and together we are doing just that. Rivers State has made tremendous progress in the last 6.5 years under our watch. Our social and economic conditions are better than where they were in 2015. Indeed, Rivers State is transforming and we've achieved a lot. Our development footprints are everywhere, visible, extensive, and comprehensive. Even the blind can feel the touch, while the deaf are shaken by the echoes, and in the Committee of States were the envy of many. But our mandate is still running, and our job is not yet finished. There is still a lot to be done to take Rivers State one step closer to a glorious destination. And this is what Budget 2022 has been designed to accomplish. Like its predecessors, Budget 2022 is an ambitious one, carefully crafted, directed, and targeted at propelling our development efforts toward the finishing line. Our development measures and people-centered, predicated on what is good for our state and for our people. They encapsulate our optimism and hope for a peaceful, secure, and sustainably developed Rivers State. We welcome the critics for as long as they remain constructive and manifest responsible intentions to contribute to the development of our state. But the buck stops on our table. We would note and listen, but never take instructions from anybody or institutions that do not mean well for our state and our people. With faith in God, hard work and commitment to the common interest, we can accelerate our transformation for the benefit of all. Thank you, and may God continue to bless our dear Rivers State as I lay the 2022 budgetary proposal for Rivers State before this Honorable House for your consideration and approval. Thank you once again, and God bless you all.
Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.